always do that. I'm a night rider. Every time that I call past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire.
What's going on, bookworms, and welcome back to another episode of Bookmarks with Bump. Another milestone, they'll say. This is the 80th episode. The 80th episode this week of Bookmarks with Bump on this wonderful Sunday. I don't know what the day is because I'm recording this on Tuesday the 16th. A lot of things going on in the life of Bump. And let's just do a little reflection on this Sunday, the 21st, the last Sunday before Christmas. And for me, a diehard New England Patriots fan, Christmas came early this year. Yeah, so this past weekend, I took a lovely trip up to the Boston area. My wonderful, lovely, amazing, perfect girlfriend, Sammy, decided it would be a great idea to surprise me with some Patriots tickets. And you saw where we were. We had the best seats in the house, right in front of the fireplace. On a nice snowy Sunday afternoon, we saw the Patriots take on the Bills in a heated AFC East division mashup. But beforehand, we made our way to the Seaport District in Boston before we had to check into the hotels and all of that. And we decided to do some exploring. We had heard of the rumblings of the Snowport festivities that take place in Boston every winter. We got our hands on some fat cactus, hot chocolates, which were just filled to the brim with marshmallows. It was a s'mores style of hot chocolate. Just a great time, okay? Great winter vibes in the air. There was a reeking smell of ash cheese. I think it might have been coming from a falafel truck or some of the other. But we got into the exploration, and then that's what it was all about. It was a great time to go up there and just spend time together and get away from all of the hustle and bustle of everyday life, because it can be so taxing. And this trip, I've been looking forward to it for a while. I look forward to every moment that I get to spend with that special little chungy. It was just a great time. I mean, to just go away and adventure with somebody you care deeply for is something that is it's unmatched. It's a new style, a new level of bonding. There's always some type of stress when it comes to traveling and vacationing, and you take on those stresses together head on, and you either make a plan and conquer it, or you crumble and you yell at each other for a little bit and then get over it in the hotel room or whatever you all got to do. But I personally had the greatest time, and I plan on continuing to have the greatest time with the greatest partner in crime. But yes, we went up to Boston, had a nice illustrious dinner at the, that place, the Buffalo Wild Wings. Hotel and the gym, very good. Still got my workouts in Saturday and Sunday. Spent a little bit of time on the treadmill. I'm getting into a little bit of a return to run program here. The MRI from a couple weeks ago cleared me. There's no significant damage, no significant stay from injury. So no real strain or anything. It's time to kind of ramp things up a bit and get back after it. And that's perfect. Perfect to come right around the corner of that on the new year building up. Everything just all happened so quickly. And the trip, unfortunately, also happened so quickly. And now, unfortunately, it's over. And we're back. We're back to reality. Snapped back into it. Doing a bunch of adult stuff due to a move that we're going to talk about in a couple weeks here. I want to really dive deeply into this move and what's bringing it about. But in a couple of weeks, you will see a new surrounding, a new environment in the land before time here. Yet to be seen what that name will be. But we could just go ahead and get right on with the show. If we will, I like like every week when the football season is about, it's all about the game and how you play it. We come on here every week, we give the rundown, we give our picks, and last week was no different. Despite a trip taking place, I was still going to do my due diligence and put out a show for you all. So as you all listen to me on Sunday, when I handed out a list of 9 winners and 7 losers, I'm sorry about those. I really am. And we're getting tossed all around in these last few weeks of the season. It's hard to believe that right now we are 3 weeks away from the end of the regular season of football. It has all come and gone so fast. And these games here all matter. It turns out that no division is really locked up, and we'll go over that in this week's weekly wrap up. And it was on Thursday where the Falcons and the Buccaneers slugged it out. Now, on that game, I picked the Buccaneers, and I thought, oh no, here's another bad omen coming right down the track. I gave out a pick for the Buccaneers, said it would be a surefire thing, and certainly it was not. It was Kirk Cousins, who was winding back the hands of time and finding the hands of Kyle Pitts, who put together a generational performance for himself, 11 catches for 166 yards and 3 touchdowns, making him look like a prime candidate in prime time for a team to swoop in during free agency and put him in a system where he can thrive like he did on Thursday night. The Bucs lost this contest 29-28. And now you see that the NFC South race is still on. In these last 2 Sundays, the Saints have toppled the top of the division, notching wins over both the Buccaneers and this week, the Panthers. Carolina fell to New Orleans after allowing a 13-0 run in the second half of the game, with Tyler Shuck showing promise, putting together another game-winning drive and sealing one for the Saints 20-17. The NFC East looks all but locked up now, with the Eagles finding some offense by way of Dallas Goedert goal line shovel passes, 2 of them, Saquon Barkley running up the middle and A.J. Brown getting in the end zone 27 yards out and shutting out the Raiders 31-0, while the rest of the competition gnawed at itself. Neither the Commanders or the Giants are true threats in this division. They're playing without many of their stars right now. Malik Neighbors, Jaden Daniels, Kayvon Thibodeau, Jameis Winston, The Giants are playing without their kicker. Graham Gano's been on IR. So Marcus Mariota steps up after getting completely shut out the week before and puts up 29 to the Giants' 21, while the Commanders score on the ground, through the air, and on special teams. They really lit a fire under their ass last week, and you kind of like to see that when a team has a really bad loss. You love to see the way that they bounce back, like I thought the Buccaneers were going to do this week. However, they could not pull that off for us. Marcus Mariota. Their team lit a fire underneath their ass, hurt by injury, hurt by a shutout the week before. All of that brings us to Sunday night. Sunday Night Football and the Dallas Cowboys. They dropped one in Jerry World. The Vikings defense kept Dak Prescott and this passing offense from finding the end zone. All the while, J.J. McCarthy would overcome an early interception and throw for 2 touchdowns and run one in himself in this contest, grittying across the goal line, stringing together another meme, and 2 really good games, leading the Vikings to another 34-26 win, pretty much squashing the playoff hopes for the Cowboys with 3 games left in the season. Yeah, 3 games left in the season, and the Cowboys have a 1% chance to make the playoffs. What would have to happen here is the Cowboys would have to win all of their games, and the Eagles would have to lose all of theirs. And there might be a chance that the Cowboys could sneak in. But I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, the Eagles are playing the Commanders this week. We know what the Commanders are, but anything could happen. You don't know who the Eagles are trying out. Anything could happen in the NFC North right now as well. The Bears, they got a big win over the Browns and moved to 10-4. Did we ever expect the Bears to be 10-4 this season? I feel like after the first 3 weeks, everybody was kind of writing them off and saying that Caleb Williams wasn't going to work or mesh or gel with Ben Johnson. But now here they are, 14 weeks later, and they are 10-4 and atop the NFC North. DeAndre Swift and Caleb Williams had big days Sunday, with Swift rushing for 2 touchdowns and Caleb throwing 2, including 1 needle threaded to DJ Moore in the end zone between 3 dangerous Browns secondary defenders. But that's the confidence and the talent that Caleb Williams plays with. That's that somewhat misdirecting confidence sometimes. You throw a ball like that and you know you probably shouldn't throw it, but you throw it anyway, and this time it worked. And for DJ Moore, that was his second touchdown of the day, as well as a stellar defense on that Bears team that shut down Shedeur Sanders after his best game as a rookie. And instead of throwing for 300 yards, Sanders would throw for 3 interceptions into this Bears defense, and they wouldn't allow a touchdown, winning 31-3. And then we travel to Cincinnati, where the Ravens' offense would explode, while their defense played a gritty game, allowing the Bengals to possess the ball for an extremely long amount of time, but only allowing them to possess the ball. Almost double the amount of possession time as the Ravens in this game, but they never let them in the end zone once, stealing 2 interceptions and actually getting 3 sacks against this Bungholes offensive line. This was one of Joe Burrow's worst games, never being shut out in his career. This was the very first time, and it was against a Ravens defense that had been somewhat questionable leading up into this point in the season, but the Steelers would go on to headline Week 15, welcoming the Dolphins into Pittsburgh as the Dolphins try to win 5 in a row. And it would not happen on this night. Aaron Rodgers would come out and have connections with DK Metcalf that would break for a huge gain and a touchdown. Kenny Gainwell is making a name for himself in Pittsburgh, being the second string, sometimes third string running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. He goes over to the other side of the state, and he's playing a huge role. And in games where he performs well, the team ends up winning. This was one of the first games in a long time that the Steelers ended up winning without T.J. Watt playing, who got his lung punctured during a dry needling session. And if anybody was listening when I was doing physical therapy, dry needling was something that I was going through with my calf and my Achilles. Now, there was an instance where he went from the front of my calf to the back of my leg with a needle, and I thought that was interesting how he threaded it all the way through. So I understand how a lung can get punctured during this situation, this treatment. That is a very scary situation, and for J.J. Watt, I would be looking at that physical therapist and wondering, how'd you get a job here? Moving on, though. The Steelers get a win. The Dolphins look completely rattled. They move on to never win in under 40-degree weather. The Steelers move on to a 23-game streak, winning Monday Night Football games at home. That's carrying between 2 coaches. It's carrying between 2 generations. Just losing on Monday night is something that Pittsburgh does not do, and they propel themselves into remaining first in the division after beating the Ravens, and they're going to have to beat them again in the next couple weeks here. So they have to kind of keep it together here in order to take the North. But the North divisions on both sides are it's very much neck and neck, and a 3-way tie in the NFC North and a 2-way tie in the AFC North, and it's probably going to go down to the last game of the season, and that's all you can ask for as a football fan. Another note in this game, Derrick Henry would have 100 yards on the ground, and Lamar tacked onto that with two passing touchdowns as the Ravens shut out the Bengals 24-0, and the Steelers dominated the Miami Dolphins. It was 28-15. Sorry, I didn't have that up right away, but nonetheless, the AFC South had another fun weekend. There are divisions that are completely in a hellhole, that are stuck on fire, and there are divisions that are just having the times of their lives. And the AFC South seems to be one of those, with the Texans trampling over the Cardinals for their 6th win in a row. Their offense is finally taking shape here. They put up 40 in this win, fueled by C.J. Stroud's 3 touchdowns and the best defense in the league, holding the Cardinals to 20 points. The Jets, they were in Jacksonville, enjoying a break from the winter weather, it seemed. Their defense played like they were on vacation as the Jags whipped on them, winning 48-20. Travis Etienne would catch three of Trevor Lawrence's 5 touchdowns. And then Lawrence would go ahead and run one in for a 6th touchdown on the day, as if 5 wasn't enough, and they win 5 in a row. Then there are the Colts, who gave the NFL an early Christmas gift, much like my girlfriend gave me, taking Phillip Rivers. The Colts, they plucked Phillip Rivers out of the Hall of Fame race and they put him right into the limelight. He was a semi-finalist for the Hall of Fame this year. Just so you know, in order to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, you have to be retired for 5 seasons. Phillip Rivers retired for 5 seasons. He was on his way to the Hall of Fame, and the Colts said, "You know how to run this offense. We think we could use you." And he said, "I think I got one more left in me, coach." And so he goes out there. And this is the story of the year in the NFL. Despite all of the things that are going on, despite the disarray that the Chiefs and the Eagles are in, how it's a wide open race and anybody can win this year, the Patriots reclaiming their throne atop the AFC East, whatever the story you want to talk about can be, the Colts were up late in this game. And Phil Rivers played a somewhat efficient and smart game, throwing for a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor was involved heavily, and the defense didn't allow one score, despite Jackson Smith-Njigba scampering all over the field and having another 100-plus yard game. But at the end of the day, it would be the Seahawks and Jason Myers who kicked for 6 field goals and all of the Seahawks' points in this game. And the Seahawks win 18-16. At 10-4, though, I'm not sure that they're the best team in the West. As far as the NFC West goes, it could have been anybody's day Sunday. Any combination of wins and losses could have seen the 49ers, the Seahawks, or the Rams as the leader of the division at the end of the day. But as eyes can see, even with all of those 3 teams winning and the 49ers winning 37-24 over the Titans, it's clear that the Rams are the team to beat. Where on one hand you had a team score 6 field goals to win, on another hand you had a team put up 37. The Rams powered through the Lions 41-34. Their defense found just enough ways to stifle this high-powered Lions offense, while Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua connected for 181 yards in this game. Did we see Devontae Adams go out with injury? Yes, we did, and that's concerning for the Los Angeles Rams. However, Puka Nacua is one hell of a dog. They have 2 running backs in the backfield that can get all over the field. Blake Corum can catch passes out of the backfield as well. He's shown that in college, and he's shown that here in the NFL early. Matt Stafford finds a way to get the ball in anybody who's open hand. Think about Colby Parkinson, who's like being talked about as one of the best receiving tight ends in the league right now. That's got to be due to Matt Stafford and what he does to a team when he hops on and he leads. Matt Stafford is leading the Rams to the top of the NFC West. He's leading the MVP race right now, and I think that team is truly a Super Bowl contender as we sit right here. But all of these teams are making another playoff push. A team that won't be making a playoff push this year is Kansas City. They lose to the division rival Los Angeles Chargers as they continue to make theirs. They lose Patrick Mahomes in this game, who tore his ACL, his LCL, and quite literally gave everything he had to the Chiefs this year, trying to get to their 4th Super Bowl in a row, but they just simply did not have a championship team this year. For whatever reason, there was no cohesiveness on the offense, and it was extremely hard for Mahomes to find an open man against any defense, it seemed like, and Mahomes used his legs more than any year, it seemed like, this year. He was the team's leading rusher, leading passer, leading receiver, leading blocker. Mahomes, if you hate Patrick Mahomes because he's a perennial winner, you have to respect the way he played quarterback this year. With nothing, he managed to put the Chiefs in 8 games where it was a 1-possession game, a 1-score game that just did not go their way. He managed to have his team in a spot every week, and he did the best that he could, honestly. The Chargers, they advanced to 10-4 with a 16-13 win in a complete season sweep over the Chiefs this year. But the top of the division is a seat that's held, or should I say, a saddle, because it's the Broncos. The Broncos are bucking off every team this season and just pulled off their 11th win in a row, taking the Packers into deep waters. Both of these teams scored in bunches, but where the Packers couldn't continue and were left resorting to field goals, the Broncos would punch those scores in. Bo Nix played unbelievable in this big-time game, throwing for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, while being beautifully complemented by this staunch defense. Pat Surtain and Riley Moss would both nab interceptions from Toyotathon Jordan Love, delivering the Packers one of the 2 gut punches they had in this loss. Losing name the acquisition that injected so much energy into this program. Micah Parsons went down late in the third quarter with a torn ACL while rushing Bo Nix, and the Packers' hope began to fade from that point on. It's unfortunate when you see a team lose a ton of gas due to injury, but this is what we're going to see here. Micah Parsons, even if he wasn't the last person to make the play, if he wasn't the first person to the ball, he still played an impact in every single play. That's how dangerous he is rushing the pass. That's why he was worth $133 million, and I'm sure he's going to tag rehab and be back at the same abilities, if not better, than he was before. This is a guy who's just obsessed with getting better, and that's probably all that he's really obsessed with. So that kind of dampers some of the NFC North playoff hopes for the Packers, like we were talking about earlier. And you have the Lions who need to make a push. You have the Packers who need to make a push. You have the Bears who are sitting on top, and they have a tough game this week against the Green Bay Packers. So it'll be a great test, and those will be a couple games that we're going to pick right now on TikTok Live. If you don't follow me on TikTok, I suggest that you do, because every week when I give the recap, I come on TikTok Live and I give out my picks for Thursday Night Football. I give out my picks for Saturday Night Football if we have it, which this week we do. Look how beautiful that is. Usually we're stuck with just 3 days of NFL football, but this week we get 4. And next week we'll get 5. I believe they're going all the way from Christmas to New Year's every single day, which is going to suck for whoever's playing in those games, trying to recover and get ready for the games. But hey, for us, it's a sweet treat. So let's move right on. I've completely forgot to talk about the Patriots and Bills game. I really did. How funny is that? I plugged the TikTok and everything. That's okay. We'll roll right through. All right. The Dolphins are third in the East. The Jets are last. But the Bills and the Patriots played in a snowy barn burner Sunday afternoon, where we saw the Bills barge in from behind again and overcome a 24-7 deficit. What I saw in this game was a lot of softness from the New England Patriots defense in the middle, especially after halftime. Before the half, we were really commanding on both sides of the ball. We weren't on special teams. The Bills were getting great field position every single time we kicked the ball off or punted the ball. We just could not cover a kick to save our lives on Sunday. It was cold, it was snowy, but it wasn't enough snow to bother anything. This snow was melting before it touched the ground. So maybe it made conditions a little bit slick, but not slick enough to completely lose your fundamentals. In the second half, we just came out soft as a defense. There was no tackling. There was a ton of missed tackles, and James Cook got the brunt of his yardage. The team got the brunt of their yardage. We were outpacing the Bills 276 yards to 77 at halftime. They had -3 passing yards. But another thing, and I hate resorting to this because it makes me sound like such a sissy making excuses, but the referees really played a part in this game. And being there, you could really feel it. It's different when you're there and you see a bad call being made as opposed to when you're watching through the TV. There's something just more emphatic behind it. It seemed deliberate in some senses, but yeah, we gave up a couple bad defensive pass interferences. The Bills and their offensive line really cleaned things up and did not hold once, despite being the team called for the second most holds in the league, but they had a really good performance on Sunday. That's what I could say about the Bills. They're coming from behind and shocking a lot of teams this year, and they just happened to shock us at home after we were up big. It was great when we were up big. At halftime, it was great. It was amazing. I was on top of the world, and then it just kind of seemed like the game was slipping away from us, which is a good thing. It didn't seem like we were out of it. It just seemed like it slipped away from us, and we let it slip away. And those are things that we're going to have to clean up, get back to the drawing board and fix, just like promoting your TikTok before you're actually going into the last TikTok portion and then having to promote the TikTok again. So if you're ever watching this on a Sunday and wishing you got the Thursday, Saturday, Friday picks, follow me on TikTok. I go live every time I record the podcast on TikTok at bookmarkswbump. And I give out the picks for Thursday Night Football and this week's Saturday Night Football. Thursday Night Football has the LA Rams traveling up to Seattle to face the Seattle Seahawks that we talked about earlier. The Seattle Seahawks that won off the leg of their kicker. I foresee the Rams to be playing without Devontae Adams for a long time. That looks like a really bad hamstring pull. The Rams are favored in this game, and for good reason. Their defense is just as good as the Seattle Seahawks. I will give them that and more. But their offense is just 3 to 4 notches better, especially at this point in the season. Earlier in the season, the Seahawks offense looked hot, and they have just completely faded away as the Rams have remained consistent, and that will be the tell in this game. The LA Rams winning due to their offense. The Philadelphia Eagles in a division game on Saturday against the Washington Commanders. Now, I get that the Washington Commanders took the New York Giants to deep waters on Sunday and ended up drowning Jackson Dart and the fellas there, but I don't think they're up against the same competition this week. And the Eagles are working hard to get better every week because they've shown their ass more often than not. And they just snapped a 4-game losing streak. I believe that they're going to need to keep the wins tallying up, especially if they want to remain distant from Dallas in the playoff hunt. Even though their hopes are very slim, they are still in the hunt, and that is still something that's alarming. So the Philadelphia Eagles get a hard-fought win over the Washington Commanders in Washington on Saturday, and the Saturday night main event is Green Bay, the Packers heading to Chicago to face the Bears. The Bears, as I said earlier, their defense complements what they do on offense so well. I don't think the Bears need to rely on good quarterback play to get a good win. And Green Bay, as good as they have been, they haven't been able to string together great performances out of Josh Jacobs. And this defense is a hard game to try and push that with. If the Bears get out to a lead here, it seems like it's all but through for Green Bay. Christian Watson went out, Zach Tom went out, and Micah Parsons went out for them. 3 starters. Losing 3 starters is never a good place to be. And Green Bay is limping towards the end of the season. Unless they have a hope and a prayer, and Matthew Golden finds a way to get open against this stingy Chicago secondary, I don't see a way that Chicago does not win this game. So those 3 games, Thursday and Saturday, will be the LA Rams winning, the Philadelphia Eagles winning, and the Chicago Bears winning. And we'll move on to the rest of the slate for the podcast. So if you want to check that out, my people on TikTok, hit the links in my bio. Follow them to YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts, see podcasts, watch podcasts. You can watch me on YouTube at bookmarkswbump. I'm all over the place, so just hit the link in my bio and find me over there. Until then, I'm out from y'all, and I'm on to the rest of the show over here. Thanks for bearing with me, y'all. So, Sunday starts with Buffalo going into another cold weather game and taking on the Cleveland Browns, who got trounced last week. And I think those trouncings will continue. It seems like Shedeur Sanders had the wrong play sheet in his wristband. I didn't want to buy into the Kevin Stefanski trying to completely obliterate or demoralize his starting quarterback, but he honestly might be. I think that is a real possibility of what's going on here, and I think that Buffalo has an edge. I think that Buffalo is a team that's coming together right now. I think that their offense is as dangerous as it always is. I think Josh Allen is doing a great job getting the referees involved in the game. Then I think if that continues, then the Buffalo Bills will find themselves in a cushy playoff spot. But they know that right now is a big time for this point in the season. So the Buffalo Bills taking on a team like Cleveland with a lackluster offense, as much as it's easy to get to Josh Allen and get him down, that doesn't seem to stop him, and it only seems to fuel him. So give me the Buffalo Bills against the Cleveland Browns. The Los Angeles Chargers head to Dallas to face the Cowboys. I just see this as a spot where Dallas gets a win for no reason. The Chargers are so spotty on offense sometimes, and Dallas has been able to take advantage of that the last few weeks. Unfortunately, they didn't against the Lions, and unfortunately, they didn't against the Vikings. So unless they go into full tank mode, I don't see a way where they drop another one at home. You give me Kansas City and Tennessee. Surprise, surprise. I'm going with Kansas City against the Tennessee Titans. I really don't think I can pick the Tennessee Titans. I don't see much in the Tennessee Titans where I can pick them. It was cool that Jeffrey Simmons caught a touchdown this week. So shout out to the big guy getting some love and getting some rub over there. But give me the Kansas City Chiefs and Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew has some familiarity in this AFC South. He came up as a Jaguar, and I think he knows what it takes to beat the Titans in Tennessee. And he also has, a better cast around him. I think everybody will kind of pick up and play knowing what they lost in Patrick Mahomes and knowing why they lost Patrick Mahomes. Give me New Orleans for them to win 3 in a row against the New York Jets. I just saw that on the schedule, and I said, that's incredible. New Orleans is favored. They should be. They're the better team. They have the better quarterback. I think if Brady Cook, this fella's still playing, then the Jets will probably get squashed. But they just watched the Jaguars drop 48 on him. And I think that Kellen Moore knows what he has in Tyler Shucks, so he wants to test him a bit for the rest of the season. So I want to see some fireworks at that New Orleans offense over there with Kellen Moore calling the plays. You got the Giants and the Vikings. The Vikings have been kind of hot as of late. They've won 2 in a row. They've had 2 really good performances out of J.J. McCarthy. And then on the other side, you have Jackson Dart, who shows a lot of promise from game to game. This game is actually a really hard game to pick. It says that Minnesota is favored by 3. But I think that Kevin O'Connell and JJ are starting to click a little bit more, so I'm going to go with Minnesota just because the Giants don't really know what direction they're going in. Mike Kafka's coaching. Will he be next year? Is there continuity there between him and Jackson Dart? I'm not entirely sure, but I know that there's continuity and belief between KOC and JJ, so let me go with the quarterback coach duo over there in Minnesota. We have a huge game. Okay, we have a huge game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. I can't believe that's even a thing that anybody's saying. I'm going with the home team here, and the Buccaneers have been on a bit of a slide. Even though Mike Evans is back, even though they got Chris Godwin, even though they got all their weapons, something just didn't click for them last week, and I really do believe that Baker Mayfield is playing hurt. He's playing really banged up, which wouldn't surprise me. That's something that he does all the time. That's just the competitor that he is. And I think that the Panthers are more glued together as far as their availability goes. So give me Carolina and the Panthers and Chuba Hubbard and freaking Tommy Tremble and freaking Xavier Legette and Tedero McMillan and Bryce Young, and it's going to be a grind of a game. The Panthers defense is going to step up and make a play late, and that's just going to be what it is for the Panthers to take a hold of that NFC South division for the first time in a long time. And then we have another barn burner. Oh, did this game get flexed? Cincinnati and Miami. That's not the game that I wanted to talk about, but that's the game that I'm going to talk about. Joe Burrow needs to win here. I know that this game is in Miami, but I think Joe Burrow, like in his soul, he needs to win for his mental health. And if it doesn't happen, we may never see him again. So Cincinnati gets a win over Miami now that their win streak is over, and they kind of looked like a lost dog last night against the Steelers. I think the Bengals have the edge. For whatever reason, they have the edge, even though they don't. Jacksonville and Denver, though, this is the game that I wanted to talk about. Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, 2 princes that were promised, 2 new kings to be crowned, 2 bubbling franchises where Jacksonville has been up and down, and then now here they are at 10-4, atop the AFC South. Denver is the top of their conference, and every game means a lot for Denver. It seems like they find an edge, they find a way to win. Both of these defenses hit really hard. They rush the passer really, really well. But Denver's offensive line play is just a bunch more impressive than Jacksonville. The way they block on runs is just demoralizing and somewhat demonic. I have to go with Denver, especially with the home field advantage in this one. But I think that Jacksonville has a great playoff team. I mean, I think this year you're 2-3. You have a couple dangerous teams here, being the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Houston Texans, and the Denver Broncos, because they're just so solid defensively. It's hard to find a crack in these teams. Atlanta and Arizona, those are a couple teams where it's pretty easy to find a crack in, though. And the big crack is in Arizona's defense. Atlanta gets a win here, especially with Kirk Cousins playing like he did on Thursday. If he repeats that performance, it should be an easy win for Atlanta. Pittsburgh and Detroit, it's hard for me to make this decision so quick and so impulsively, but Detroit wins. Pittsburgh gets gashed by the run. We know that. We've seen it all season, and I think it continues here. Jahmyr Gibbs is just a different style of speed, and Detroit needs to win. Pittsburgh needs to win too, but they don't really need this one as much. They just need to beat the Ravens, and they'll be fine this year. Pittsburgh fans hate that. But Detroit gets the win here on Sunday. This one's another cupcake lollipop. Houston over Las Vegas. All right. I don't need to say anything more. Houston is a playoff team. Raiders are JV. And then you have New England and Baltimore Sunday night. This is a big game. This is a big game. I think if we can get some Bubby Spillane in the game, I think we could have a big chance here. But we have a hard time tackling. I'm going to pick the New England Patriots because that's what I always do, but I want you to understand right here that we have a hard time tackling. Lamar Jackson has been able to be gotten this year, though, and we are great at getting to the quarterback, so take that into account. I'm just going to rely on a ton of sacks out of my defensive line in this game, and Christian Gonzalez kind of locking down Zay Flowers, who, is he a 1 yet? I don't know. But we're a little bit soft in the middle of the field, and we lack coverage on tight ends. That is the strength of Baltimore. I don't feel too optimistic about this one, but I'm still going with the Patriots. And that means you are too, my bookworms. Monday Night Football, December 22nd, 2025. The Indianapolis Colts, a primetime Monday Night Football game. Didn't think that we'd be here, but we are. This should have been a good game earlier in the season. It stinks that it's not. Nobody's fault. Nobody's fault but my own, right? Man, I got to go with San Francisco. Yeah, I got to go with San Francisco. I mean, it's just realistic. Man, I don't know. The Colts defense did look really good on Sunday, but is that just because the Seahawks offense is falling off? You know, it's hard to tell after one game with Phillip Rivers what this team truly is moving towards the end of the season. You know what? We're going with the Colts because why not? The NFC West is over. And when the 49ers go in and see that the Seahawks, or when they see that the Rams won, they will just tuck their tail between the legs and call it a season. Probably play all their JV guys. And it's the Colts. Colts win. Colts win 24-13. 37 points total. And that's my pool. That's my pool, and those are our picks for the week. And I'll tell you why. And I tell you why it's a winner. Because that's what I thrive to do, because the standard is the standard. Who taught me that? Mike Tomlin. We got Coach Speak, part 3 here. The standard is the standard by Mike Tomlin. No excuses, no shortcuts, no compromise. The standard doesn't adjust to you. You rise to meet it. Championships teams don't just set standards, they live them every day. And what does that mean? Well, according to Greg Berg, who interpreted it as his own, the standard is the standard. Mike Tomlin's famous words cut to the core of what great teams are built on. Standards are your how you show up, how you practice, how you do the little things every single day. The best teams and players don't just talk about standards, they live them with relentless consistency. That's what separates the mediocre from the great. Coaches must set the bar. Leaders must hold the line, and everyone must buy in. When the standard becomes non-negotiable, excellence stops being optional. The standard is the standard every day, in everything. That's how champions are made. What can I even add on to that? Again, if I was to interpret anything, I would have said exactly what is said here. Coaches set the bar and leaders hold the line, and everybody must buy in. You got to have buy-in if a team movement is going to be successful. And it's not just knowing what the standard is and trying, it's living the standard. Your effort is never truly tested until you're starting to feel those worries like, I might not be able to do this. That's when the standard comes into play. If you live up to the standard, you always get it done no matter what. You'll always have that worry, but you'll always get it done no matter what. And once you figured out your standard on your work ethic, it could help you to find your purpose. This guy literally breaks down how to find your life's purpose. How to find your purpose in life. The problem, why we are lost. Being human is hard because nobody gives us direction. And that's true. There's no blueprint on how to live this life. The closest thing is the Bible. When you wake up not knowing what to do, you could choose 12 different paths. When you find your life's task, everything has purpose and energy is concentrated. It's like having an internal radar that guides you, and distractions become easy to cut out. Your uniqueness is your power. Your DNA and life experience are completely unique, never repeated in history. Wasting that uniqueness is the worst thing you can do. The power is finding what makes you you and mining that deeply. There are 5 frames of mind. Your brain naturally veers towards one type of intelligence: words and language, abstract patterns in mathematics, kinetic, body-based. That would be me. Social intelligence, spatial intelligence. Go with the grain because that's where your power lies. Childhood signals, the impulse voices. At age 4 to 5, you had voices saying, I love this, I hate that. These indicate your natural direction. Robert Greene, obsessed with words at 6, spelling backwards palindromes. Okay. Einstein, he was mesmerized by the compass. He obsessed with invisible forces. Steve Jobs was hypnotized by technological device designs. And apparently Tiger Woods was screaming with joy watching golf. Why we lose the signal. At age 7, other voices drown out your own, teachers, parents, and peers. You enter work world without an internal radar, making choices based on money. You're not emotionally connected. Emotional engagement equals faster learning. When emotionally engaged, brain learns 2 to 4 times faster. You feel it in your body. It's visceral, not intellectual. It's like swimming with current. Everything clicks. There's delight, even through tedium. Tedium, those hard things, those meticulous things that you tuck into your craft every day that nobody really knows about. Nobody really pays attention to because that's just you working. Why do you do these tedious tasks? It's because you love what you're doing, and you're doing it for the passion. You're doing it for the reason, and the reason is because you were called to. I believe in life that my purpose was to be an example of second chances. Why? Because I always had one voice in my head telling me, do these things that are going to land you where they're going to land you inevitably. And no matter what, it was like it's something that I didn't want to do. It's something I didn't have to do. It was something that I was called to do, and then ultimately I was called to turn it all around. And that's where I'm wired to be. That's where I'm supposed to go. When it comes to the body, the human body, working on the body, that's where I became my most emotional self through work, was taking joy in the changes I was able to make in my own life and in other people's lives. Being a personal trainer, you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about their vulnerabilities, and you help them in every instance that you can. And that's why I initially got into it. I wanted to help people feel as free as I felt when I lost not just the weight, when I lost the depression, the shame, the guilt, when I lost everything by just living a better lifestyle and continuing to be an example of what it is to live a good lifestyle and hopefully inspire people along the way. That's just where I was framed to be. And once I felt that, once you feel that calling, once you're doing something and it feels right, because so many times in life you walk through going, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And then once you get those things that make you go, I like this, remember those and try to find a way to make it what you can do with your life. And I guarantee you it will change the way you feel about this beautiful world we live in. Because everything can be so dark and gleam when you hate doing everything that you're doing. So turn everything that you're doing into something that you love. That would be my message of the day. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. 80 episodes. That's a long time. That's a long commitment. 80 weeks you've all been with me. I love each and every one of you. And you a little bit more. As always, you can find me on social media, on Twitter at BumpFTTS, on TikTok at bookmarkswbump. You can email me at bookmarkswbump@gmail.com if you need any guidance in the gym, or if you have any threads you'd like to suggest for the show. I have completely ran out of the back stock, the back catalog, and I will be feverishly looking for more. So if you could help me out with that, I'd be eternally grateful forever. Yeah, as always, it's all love. God bless. I always do that.
I'm a night rider. Every time that I call past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire.